In this lecture, we shall see variable assignments in Python. So the learning objectives would be to understand how variable assignment is done in Python. We shall see why Python variables are dynamically typed and what are the pros and cons of dynamic typing. And then we shall also see what are the different types of variables which are used in Python. Now before we jump to the Jupyter Notebook, there are certain rules for naming variables in Python. We shall go through them first. So the names cannot start with a number. So any variable name should start with a letter A to Z or an underscore, but not with a digit like 1, 2, 3. Variable names cannot contain spaces. So for example, user space name is not a valid variable name. Rather, if we want to use two separate words in a variable name, we have to use underscore in between. Now only digits and underscores and letters are allowed. These special characters which are there are not allowed in variable while you basically declare or name a variable. Now, it's a good recommendation that we should always stick to the lowercase letters. There is a PEP 8 Python naming recommendation. So it's always good, or it's always a guideline that we use in lowercase letter because it gives us better readability. Now we should avoid certain kinds of letters while using variable naming. So for example, capital O, small letter L or capital I, because these are commonly confused with numbers 1 and 0 and it can give you bug in your code. Do not use some Python keywords as variable names, but when you use these keywords like list and str, which means strings, we shall see what are the meanings of this in our coming lectures. But as of now, if you use these names also, it will throw up error, and by mistake, if you are typing this words as your variable name, the Jupyter Notebook will change the color of this keywords. Basically, when you type them, I'll show you when we go to the Jupyter Notebook, so that it gives a clear indication that you cannot use these keywords or inbuilt keywords as variable name. Now, the Python variables are dynamically typed. This means that if we assign a variable to one data type and later we can reassign it to a different data type without any error. For example, if I use a variable x and now if I assign it to an integer value 10, I can reassign this same variable x in the same code to a string hello, and this will not throw us an error. This flexibility is there in Python, which we can which for which there are some pros and also there are some cons. But most of the language which we use apart from Python are statically typed languages. So this flexibility sets Python apart from statically typed languages where the variables data type must be declared and cannot change. So because of this, there are some pros and cons of dynamic typing. The pros is that it is easy to work with, so no need to declare data types explicitly. So we don't need to declare data types explicitly. For example, if some of you know C or C++, we need to declare the data type like int, float, and so on. But this is not required in Python. Uh, People who are not associated with other programming language, please do not get confused and you don't need to think about it. So whenever you want to assign a variable with some value in Python, you can just say the variable name and then just give a value to it. Now this basically gives us an advantage of faster development and prototyping and allows more flexibility in writing code. But the main problem with this is that it may sometimes lead to unexpected bug due to implicit type changes. So what we can do is that by mistake we can reassign a variable where we don't intend to do. So developers need to be more careful and check types manually. Type related errors may only appear at runtime basically. So we don't get those errors while we are or we don't get a hint when we are basically writing the code and compiling it. But during the runtime we may face such problems. So what does the runtime means? Basically from the compilation time is that runtime is when the application is ready and your application is running on an device. So that means runtime. Now, finally, there are different types of variables. We will discuss each of them in a separate lecture, but just to go through them quickly now. So, integers are integer values. We have seen this in our previous lecture also, integer and float. String are basically a sequence of character. Bool is it can either bool basically contains a value of either true or false. So example, I can set a variable to true or false. So it's kind of a digital yes or a no, like 1 or 0, which we use in digital electronics. List is ordered mutable collection of items. What does mutable means is that we can change the values within this list. So see here, there is a subtle difference between list, tuple, and dictionary. Also, there is set. We shall discuss set, but there is a subtle difference how we write those. So list is within a square bracket, tuple is within a parenthesis, and a dictionary is within the curly braces. So what is tuple? It's little bit related to list, but it is immutable. So what does it means is that once the values are in there, we cannot change it. It's immutable. Sets are unordered collection of unique items. So what it means is that it can contain only unique items. I cannot have instance of two multiple times. So for example, I cannot have instance of any of these elements 1, 2, 3 multiple times within the set. And dictionaries are basically key value pairs, so it doesn't have indexing. List has indexing, tuple has indexing. So what does it mean is that there are indexes associated with the elements within the list and tuple. We shall see them in details in our coming lectures. There is also something called as the none type. So whenever we basically don't give any value to a variable, or a variable doesn't contain a value, it represents the absence of a value. So you will see one special case. I'll show you later, that if I just write a variable name a and don't give anything to it, the Python starts complaining. So if I don't want to give anything but just want to have a placeholder, I have to declare it as a none. Now, as we know, there is something called as a complex type in mathematics. So even Python supports that. So what we can say is that about complex type is that it's basically a complex number with real and an imaginary part. So the complex data type is also supported in Python. Now let us switch to the Jupyter notebook and see how we can practically utilize each of the concepts which we have discussed now. So let's first choose a variable a and try to assign it some value. So this equal single equal operator is nothing but the assignment operator. It is called as the assignment operator. Now if I write a is equals to 10, then press shift plus enter and try to basically print the value a, it should give me 10. Now, as I said about dynamic typing, let's see if we can reassign it to something else. Say, for example, if I write a is equals to hello within single quote, which is a string, and then try to print a, so it returns me the string hello. So this basically proves that we are able to do the reassignment to a different type. Now, also one more thing, I said that if I declare a variable, say for example p, and don't assign anything to it, and then it starts giving me an error. So what I have to do in this case is that I can declare it to a none type. So if you see this, the color changes, and this means that the value b is not holding, or the variable b is not holding any value. Let me just do shift plus shift enter, so then it stops complaining. Also what we can do is that we can use the same variable to redefine the value. So for example, if I just define back a to 10 and then say a is equals to a plus a, so and then try to see the value of a, it gives me back 20. Now I can use all of this concepts and say I can use in some calculation. Say for example, if I want to check what is the profit, say if I have the cost price of some items is equals to a value say 900 rupees, and then if I say the profit percentage basically is 10%, which I can write as 0.1, and then try to see what is the profit. So cost price into profit percentage. So what also one more thing, if you want to just basically type few words and then bring the complete variables, what you can do is that you can just type one or two words of the variable name and press on tab. You will see here the variable name comes up, so you can just use this. You can also basically write it directly. I used one bracket, it can be deleted also. And then if I try to print this profit, you will see it will give me the profit which I want to basically calculate using the data which is shown here. So 90 rupees is the profit finally. So that's all about the variable assignment, and we shall meet in our next lecture.